So what is Sapphire FUE? Let's find out. Hey everyone, welcome to the Hair Transplant channel. My name is Joe Tillman and you're watching the official YouTube channel for hairtransplantmentor.com. Right, so in today's video, it's hair transplant class number 25. What is Sapphire FUE? And by examining what is Sapphire FUE, we're going to be looking at the claims made by the clinics that offer Sapphire FUE. And their claims are about how it's so much better than regular FUE. This is going to be interesting. But before we do, I got a contest. 3 people will be chosen for a 1-year supply of Grow MD shampoo. Once we hit 25,000 subscribers, I'll be drawing 3 names, subscribers, that have commented down below in this video and all subsequent videos until I make the announcement, and you'll win. Okay, so time to go through all the claims, and I will talk about each one as we progress. Let's get started. First claim, the use of sapphire blades means less tissue damage. Here are the facts. When a blade cuts into the skin, it cuts not only skin, but blood vessels, so we have to use a little common sense. Assume we have a sapphire blade and a stainless steel blade that are the same size. Both will cut the same size wound, and both will cut the same blood vessels as they're plunged into the skin thousands of times. The same amount of general tissue is being cut. So where's the additional damage caused by stainless steel blades versus sapphire blades? That's simple. It doesn't exist. Next claim. The anatomy of the sapphire blade allows hair transplant surgeons to inject less tumescence, which is a special kind of fluid designed to lift the skin from the bone. Remind me to never have tumescence. Here are the facts. This makes 0 sense. Tumescence is the act of injecting saline solution into the upper level of the skin to inflate it. Saline solution is not a special fluid. It's simply saline, like salt water. Like people that have contact lenses use saline solution every day. There's nothing special about it. And it has nothing to do with lifting the skin from the bone. This is how it works. Tumescence is injected into the upper levels of the skin to inflate it so that when incisions are made, once that inflation comes down, then the incisions are closer together. This creates density. This demonstration will give you a much better idea of what tumescence is and how it affects density. This balloon represents the patient's scalp without any preparation, without any tumescence, before any incisions are made for surgery. When the goal of the hair transplant is simply to get a higher density, this means that the doctor will place the incisions as close together as possible. There are a lot of other factors that go along with this, but you get the idea. But what if you want to achieve density that's higher than what I just put on this balloon? It may not seem possible because those incisions were pretty close together, but here's a little trick. Well, when we inflate this balloon and then start to make the same marks with the Sharpie pen, you might be surprised to see just how much more dense it can actually be. Okay, all finished, and you might notice here that I left more space in between the marks than I did before. And by the way, look at these old incisions. Look how they spread out. This is a tip for what's to come. So the tumescence is drained, and now we've got the comparison. No tumescence on the left, after tumescence on the right, and you can see the greater increase in density from incisions that were previously not quite so dense. So basically, the claim is that by using sapphire blades, every precaution that should be taken when creating density using any other tool, and there are several, can be thrown out the window. No, that doesn't make any sense. Next claim, sapphire is harder and more durable than stainless steel. Stainless steel blades become dull and damage more tissue. Here are the facts. This one's true. Sapphire is very hard. In fact, the only thing that's harder than sapphire is diamond. But this is also irrelevant. Stainless steel and all metal cutting edges will get dull after not a lot of use, depending on what the use is. For making recipient sites, stainless steel blades become dull after about 50 to 150 cuts, depending on the skin type. Clinics that use stainless steel blades will usually have about 50 blades that are already pre-cut and loaded into holders, and they're ready to go when they're needed. In fact, it's a common practice for the blades to be swapped out multiple times during a surgery as they become dull. In fact, whoever's using the blade, they can feel that it's getting dull as they're making their incisions, and they simply just ask for another one, and just like that, they keep going. So while it is true that the blades will dull faster than a sapphire blade, which will also dull over time, they're so cheap, they cost pennies a piece. They're swapped out just like this throughout the surgery, making sure that they're all sharp throughout. And this completely invalidates the claim sapphire blades are so much more durable. It doesn't matter. Next claim, no neighboring follicles are damaged when using sapphire blades. Here are the facts. This can't be claimed just because the tool is being used. If a tool cuts, it can damage neighboring hairs. It's just that simple. Remember the balloon trick? Sometimes clinics will use tumescence when they're making incisions in between existing hairs so that the spaces in between those hairs become bigger and the chance of transecting neighboring hairs is greatly reduced. Next up, the greater effectiveness of this method is due to the blades making smaller channel openings, channels being the recipient sites, thus allowing more dense transplantation. This brings us back to the size differences between stainless steel blades and sapphire blades. Are sapphire blades truly smaller than stainless steel blades? Interestingly enough, I made a similar comparison between stainless steel blades and needles about 15 years ago. But in this video, I not only measured using a micrometer the size of blades as far as their width versus needles and their diameter, I also measured the thickness of those blades, which you're about to see now. 23 hundredths of a millimeter, 0.23 millimeters. Think about how thin that is. So how much thinner is a sapphire blade compared to a stainless steel blade? You tell me. My friends at Pro Hair Clinic in Belgium sent me these two photos. In this first image, you can see that they're about the same width. Now, I didn't get the exact specifications for the width of either one of these blades.
Close enough.
But just know that with stainless steel blades, you can cut them whatever size you want as far as the width. But that's not the point here. When we look at the second photo, you can see how thin they are. Now remember, the stainless steel blade is 0.23 millimeters thick. That's standard across the board. The sapphire blade, I don't have a micrometer to look at this, but it definitely doesn't look to be as thin as the stainless steel blade. In fact, it looks to be 2 times, maybe even 3 times thicker than the stainless steel blades.
And the truth shall set you free!
In reality, it's not really a big deal. And we'll get to that in a second. Next claim, and this one's good. Sapphire blades have antimicrobial and antibacterial properties. Here are the facts. And before I get into it, you got to know that I really did dig deep on this one. Like, I figured I knew what the answer was. It seemed obvious to me, but sometimes when things are a little bit too obvious, you want to double check them. I triple checked them. In this case, I found no supporting evidence, no papers, no descriptions. There's just nothing out there to support this. But it doesn't really matter if they have any of these properties to begin with, because if you go to a decent clinic, they're going to be following anti-infectious protocols. They're going to be making sure that all the instruments are sanitized. They're going to make sure that everyone's wearing a mask when they're working on you, not just because of COVID, but just because of proper medical protocols. It just doesn't matter. It's not true, but it doesn't matter if these have antimicrobial properties or not. Anyway, bottom line is, it's rubbish. And the final claim, Sapphire FUE is different than classic FUE. Here are the facts. If you haven't figured it out yet, Sapphire FUE is classic FUE. And FUE by definition is using a small punch to remove individual bundles of hair from the donor region before they're prepped somehow and then put back into the area of need, the recipient area, the area of hair loss. That is FUE. In fact, by the logic that these clinics use to call their technique Sapphire FUE, a strip surgeon could do the same thing using sapphire blades and call his procedure or her procedure Sapphire FUT or Sapphire Strip. That's how silly this is. In other words, Sapphire FUE is not better than classic FUE. It is classic FUE because there's no difference. By making an incision into someone's scalp with a different kind of tool doesn't change the procedure. It's all FUE. Doesn't matter if it's a robot, doesn't matter if it's a handheld motor, it doesn't matter if it's a punch holder that you hold between forefinger and thumb and rotate back and forth in an oscillating fashion. It's all FUE. So what is Sapphire FUE? It's a gimmick. It's just designed by the people that promote it to make you think that what they're doing is better than the next guy down the street. So here's the thing. If you're ever talking to a clinic that offers Sapphire FUE or this FUE or that FUE, and they're talking about a special tool that makes their procedure so much better than anyone else, ask them this one question. If using Sapphire FUE is so great and so much better, how come these other great clinics are getting awesome results, but they're not using Sapphire FUE? Watch them stumble, watch them stutter, and watch them try to avoid answering the question. Here's the ultimate fact. It doesn't matter. Like, someone's using sapphire blades could produce awesome results. If they're using a stainless steel blade, awesome results. If they're using a needle, they can produce awesome results. Because it always goes back to what I've been saying for years. The tool is only as good as the hand that wields it. Never forget that. As long as you get naturalness, as long as you get a decent density, we're not talking like super high densities are stupid anyway, but naturalness, a decent density, and no visible scarring, that's what you need to look for. And that's what it's all about. So don't be lured in by these claims of special tools that make a procedure so much better than from some other clinic. It's all horseshit. Look for the things that matter and go from there. I hope you learned something. I hope you like this video. And if you do like the video, like the video. If you're not subscribed, be sure you subscribe and ring the bell for all notifications. Got a lot more videos coming out that you don't want to miss. I'm Joe Tillman. Thanks for watching. Peace.